It starts here at the center, where the four directional winds of consciousness come from infinity to the center of the hoop of reality. And this takes many forms. It can be actual wind, like physical wind that you feel moving around the planet, or it can be cosmic winds, or it can be belts of magnetic energies in space. So at different levels of the universe, we see this in different ways. And we also see it inside the atom, because this is going to describe the basic circulation of the hydrogen atom. And then it's going to also help describe the overlays necessary to get to the structure of all the other atoms as I figure some of this out. So what we see here, so now that you know kind of where creation is sitting in this video, I'm going to step out of creation into the space of ideas and thought. And this is symbology. So what we see here is a symbolic representation of something in the mind of God Goddess that is taking form as she's sitting in existence herself for ever and ever and ever, just contemplating the codes that she starts to realize exist and taking even more infinities to think about them and decide what to do with them. And this is one of the 64 gene keys. It's one of the I Ching codes, and it happens to be the code that represents peace. So there's 64 hexagrams, and this is the one that represents peace. So we can look that up later and give more correlations here. And just so it's clear, on the left side are triple brackets, on the right side are triple brackets. And the reason for that is to give the same kind of concept in a symbolic notation of containment that we get from being in a so-called 3D reality, which it's not really 3D, but part of it is 3D, and it's good to know about that. So we'll get to that eventually. So then coming back out of the conceptual space into the conception vessel, basically, where physical reality actually exists and can birth something, we see that the code is now activated inside the conception vessel, and we see the 6 primary vectors of the colors of feminine consciousness that are birthing into those 6 codes. So it starts with the feminine goddess powering up from the core of reality, from the deep, dark depths of reality, whatever that is. She powers up and into infinite, she gives an infinite potential into reality, and that then engages with the conception vessel and creates our constant experience in life. And that is basically how it is that we can walk around with each other and have all these experiences, because we're centered in peace all the time. Now, the next step here, we're always walking clockwise, as most witches know. The next step is the masculine. So once you've got the 6 feminine energies, that's enough that she's like, okay, now I need some excitement, basically. So she creates something that's more limited. It only has one, see how it has only one kind of vector of consciousness? Men and the masculine are really, really, really good at pointing at infinity or pointing at something perfectly and just aiming for that no matter what. And women have a really hard time actually noticing that men are doing that and figuring out how to talk to them about their incredible one-pointedness. So it's really important that women understand that this is where this man thing comes in to make a birthing possibility, because you need it. It's part of reality. It's part of the evolution. Then what's really beautiful, I think, oh, by the way, the wind directions, I think it's probably the south. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the south because that's how it's drawn, and that this is the west. So I think the man comes in from the west. Oh yes, and also I need to explain another thing. The human egg, and probably all eggs, takes the same kind of form in the sense that if a sperm comes in from the bottom, it's probably going to produce a female. If a sperm comes into the egg from the side of the egg, and by the way, this means that eggs have an axis, so we're going to have to find the axis on the egg. I think scientists already did that. I just don't remember what it's called or anything, or if that's really quite the case, but it probably is. So a sperm that comes in from the side, wait, I said that wrong, I'm sorry. A sperm that comes in from the bottom makes a boy, because he has to stand up in reality fully and take all the hits and die, basically. And then a sperm that comes in from the side makes a girl. That's the thing, is like only the X sperm can come in from the side. There's a protein coating or something right there, and we'll have to explore this and find out, but I'm pretty sure it's there. And so then there'd be a different protein coating on the bottom that allows the boy sperm to come in that place. I think that's true. Pretty sure we're going to find this out. So then this would be the north wind coming in, and the north wind is the first goddess that chooses to birth and form. And she has two aspects, and they're both X, sort of like XX. So she's like two girls in one in a way. I don't know how to explain that better yet, but it's part of the idea of, we're going to get to this in a little while. We're going to get to the idea of the Tetragrammaton, which is a lot of religions encode their concepts of God. And one of the codes is that's used a lot is the Tetragrammaton, which is a tetrahedron with symbols at all of the points and all of the lines and so forth. And so that's two of those lines. Basically, that's two of those points on the Tetragrammaton, expressed as a vector of feminine consciousness. And this is two more points also expressed as a vector of feminine consciousness. And I want to point out that the outer vector is green in both cases, because basically this is where nature sits somehow. She sits between the north wind and the east wind, and she comes in at the first octant after the goddess is birthed at 12 o'clock or midnight or the birthing time or something. So then we have the four lines all together here, see, and that includes the east wind plus the north wind. And I just want to point this out because this is me. This is who I actually am. I am moi. I found out finally that I'm made up of these four lines. My consciousness is these four lines, and I'm finally remembering who I am. And also, it's not just me. I come from a DNA line that is like this, but my beings, all of them are probably dead by now, and I'm probably